Hello there, welcome to saberduelgaming, where we always take the high ground. Since the first ever Super Mario Kart game was released on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, this series has brought more friends together than anything else. It's probably ended more friendships than anything else too. It has seen versions of the game released on almost every single Nintendo console since, and has become almost a franchise in itself, separate to the actual Mario games. Whilst the game has remained faithful to the premise of the original, it has continuously introduced new innovations, new characters, and of course, new levels. But many of the previous levels have remained around, especially the most iconic of all of these levels, Rainbow Road. Usually the last level of the last cup in the game, this is the grand finale. It's usually the most visually stunning looking level in the game, and also the most nightmarish. So join me today as I try and rank every single Rainbow Road seen in the Mario Kart console games. Someone has to come last, and in this case it's probably not too much of a surprise that it's the original. Look, simply from the perspective that it's the oldest one, and that this game has constantly evolved, it makes sense that this one is probably going to be the least enjoyable. However, on top of that, this game hasn't necessarily aged as well as a lot of the other Mario Kart games have. Plus, one of the most standout factors of Rainbow Road levels are how stunningly beautiful they are, and realistically, this one never was. In fact, despite all the bright colours, even back then, it was one of the more boring looking levels. I mean, does this footage actually look like it's changing at any point? Or does it look like it's the same? These are different clips spliced together, and realistically, this could just be one prolonged clip. It's not aged very well. It's certainly the least impressive and least fun Rainbow Road. So overall, unfortunately, this classic deserves this place. 7th and 6th I went back and forth between multiple times, but unfortunately, despite the Nintendo 64's version of Rainbow Road being far more beautiful and in many ways more iconic than the previous one, this is as far up as I can put it. You see, this may be the first time Rainbow Road actually looked like Rainbow Road as opposed to just Disco Road. The backgrounds are incredible, and whilst that black background on the whole is still quite dull, we still have these big LED light versions of Mario characters, making it far more visually iconic. I also find the barrier being all the way around the track far easier and more playable because I always fall off the edges on Rainbow Road. However, it's kind of the point. It's like playing 10-pin bowling with the sides up. It's cool having the chomps continuously working their way around the road, trying to aim towards us as a bit of a combative distraction, but the barricades being all the way up do kinda take the fun away, or at least the challenge away from the game. Mario Kart 64 is one of the best versions of the game. However, I don't personally think this is one of the best versions of Rainbow Road. Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance is the first time Rainbow Road really, in my opinion, excels. Visually, we have the beautiful Rainbow Road, but we also have a relatively nice background. Plus, the road isn't just one big generic path. It's got a number of little shortcuts, jumps, gaps, alternate paths. We do have the barricade like we had in the Nintendo 64 version of the game. However, the barricade can cause jumps. Sometimes the barricade can break down, and other gaps don't have barricades at all. It's substantially more lively, more engaging, and just a lot more fun. It's still pretty simple, like the 16-bit version of Mario Kart we had on the SNES, but just so much more alive. This game took what the first one did really well, it took what the Nintendo 64 one did really well, and then it added a whole bunch more. This one really took the lead as far as Rainbow Road went, and it never looked back. Some might consider it blasphemy that I am putting Mario Kart on the Wii, or at least its Rainbow Road, in 5th place. But there is one very good reason for this. The level itself, design-wise, is one of the most entertaining, most engaging, most beautiful, and most fun. It does suffer a little bit from the annoyance of going over the edge, however, not too bad. The main problem with this was the main problem with everything else in this game for me, which was, quite frankly, I hated the steering wheel gimmick. I know for most people it was the best part of it, everyone seemed to love it. I hated it, and every particular skill I had in Mario Kart was nullified by turning my hands left and right instead of using any actual gaming ability. Now I know that sounds more like a criticism of the game than it does of this level, but the reality is this level was the one where that random gimmick became its most annoying. Most other levels I was one way or another able to just about get by with it and still be pretty decent, but Rainbow Road, with big open edges and sharp corners and turns, it was unforgiving when you were using that steering wheel gimmick. It just wasn't for me. There's a lot to love about this, and I can totally understand most people putting it much further up the list, maybe even being their favourite, but not for Saber. Mario Kart Double Dash on the Nintendo GameCube, its version of Rainbow Road being in 4th place, might come as a little bit of a surprise. My aversion to barricades certainly should put this one right on my hit list, especially given how they missed the barricades right on those horrible corner turns. However, Mario Kart Double Dash kinda holds a nice space in my heart. Despite the risk of falling over the edge quite frequently, which I do multiple times, this game is just a little bit more playable. Whilst the edges are right there to slip off, for some reason I don't seem to do it quite as much as I'd expect. Plus the design of this game really lends itself to Rainbow Road. It's just lovely to look at, in many ways a lot nicer than any of the more recent ones. And unlike the Wii, you just use the control pad. In 3rd place, it is the latest addition to the Rainbow Road saga with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. Realistically, it only makes sense that the latest version of it should be quite high up, as we should also expect this to be one of the best. However, I would argue it's not the best. Obviously, it's in 3rd place. The main reason for that is this doesn't entirely feel like Rainbow Road. Yeah, the road is quite colourful in places, but there's whole chunks where you're basically driving through some sort of weird space station. It's cool enough, and it's probably definitely one of the better versions of Rainbow Road. However, it does stray a little bit from its roots, and for that, it can't quite take the top place. So close to top spot, and in 2nd place, it is Mario Kart 7 from the Nintendo 3DS, although yes, this footage is actually taken from the Nintendo Switch version of the game. What this one does so well is it still really feels like a proper Rainbow Road, and there is so much open sides that you could potentially fall off. However, you just don't. It is far more comfortable to navigate. It also has a fair bit of variety like some of the other ones did. Like this bit, you are literally going around the rings of Saturn, but so much of it still feels like that classic Rainbow Road course. It's got plenty of different gimmicks to it, but it still feels like it sticks to and rings true to the original. It controlled really well, and the 3D look of the Nintendo 3DS gave it something spectacular. And in 1st place, it is Rainbow Road from Mario Kart DS on the Nintendo DS. Probably my all-time favourite Mario Kart game. This is absolutely perfect. It is as simple as the original and substantially more beautiful. But it also has so much more going on, even though it doesn't seem like it. It is basic, as Rainbow Road should be, but it never feels boring. This is a lot of fun to play, the music in it is spectacular, and for my opinion, this is the best version of Rainbow Road. There's plenty of scope for different views, and I'm sure some of the others are more fun for each of you, so please do comment down below, let me know, what is your favourite Rainbow Road of all time? Which one can you absolutely not stand? Do you even like Rainbow Road at all? For a lot of people, this is the worst part of the Mario Kart games, and for others, it's the absolute best. Until next time, please consider subscribing, put a like on the video, and of course, take the high ground.